Good evening. I am Chair Nathan Sticks, calling to order the Newcastle Community Activities Commission meeting of May 8th, 2024. The time is 6 p.m. This public meeting is being recorded, broadcast live, and may be viewed later on the city's YouTube channel. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? One of our commissioners will be absent tonight, and that is Kim Van Adden. She is excused. So, Amy, if you would show her as excused, and would you please do the roll call?
Certainly, Chair Sticks. Commissioner Forsberg.
Present.
Commissioner Lee.
Present.
Commissioner D'Souza.
Present.
Commissioner Krutzinger.
Present.
Vice Chair Flash.
I am here.
Chair Sticks.
I am here too. Thank you. Is there any objection to approval of tonight's agenda as presented? I'll take that as a no. So would you please show the final agenda approved as presented? And this meeting, we have 2 months worth of minutes to approve. So is there any objection to approval of the minutes from March 13th and April 10th as presented?
I have no objection.
Allison? Oh, thank you. Then we will show the minutes approved as presented. And do we have any public comment tonight? We are honored.
Hello, Community Activities Commission. Rob Clark from Hazelwood. I'm also council member and mayor. And I wanted to come by to just say hello to you guys. And I've been regularly attending the Planning Commission meetings because, of course, we have the comp plan. And I've neglected to stop by to say thank you for your efforts, right? Because you kind of go as unsung heroes. And you have a busy year this year with our 30th anniversary. So I just wanted to express my support. You know, and there's a new council makeup, but nothing has changed as far as our attitude towards the community activities. I want you to be assured of that. So whatever the council can do to assist you, myself, whatever, you know, we come to the council, let us know. And I've talked to Nathan several times. I've talked to Ed, you know, not necessarily the rest of you, but, you know, please feel free that the door's open. We want to be able to make the 30th anniversary year a good one. So we're all in and ready to go. So that's all I really want to say. I can't stay the whole meeting. My wife and son and I will be going out for a walk in the nice weather, but I did want to say thank you. So that's the main purpose of me being here. Thank you. You're not, I know the feeling of an empty room. You're not forgotten about or neglected. So thank you.
Well, like many of your council meetings, we're used to the blank seats in front of us. So hopefully we will be better also at attending the council meetings. So thank you for coming tonight. Okay. Commissioner comments and celebrations. Do we have anything to share?
I'm just going to say that it was a really nice afternoon with the ribbon cutting and all. Very nice. And I'm personally, for myself, I'm sorry I wasn't able to attend last night because I understand that was lively as well.
And I will second that. It's my first ribbon cutting ceremony in my 35 years in Newcastle, and I thought it was exceptional. Very well done. And the boardwalk has turned out to be absolutely beautiful. So we should be very proud of that effort. So thank you. Okay, we'll start into reports. So Amy, you want to kick us off?
Alrighty, so lots of exciting things going on. First, I'd like to thank the commissioners for helping us with Earth Day 2024, the Planet versus Plastics that wrapped up at the end of April. And I want to do a special shout out to the Weed Warriors who rescued 25 trees from invasive ivy at Lake Bourne Park on April 21st. That ivy really is pretty something intense, and we are looking forward to doing similar events in the future. The results are absolutely amazing to be able to see them visually, but then also the long-term impact of having rescued those trees is just going to make a whole lot of difference. So that was a whole lot of fun and a whole lot of energy.
Amy, did they finish that whole strip? Or is there more work to do in that
There is
scenario?
actually, so in terms of, good question, in terms of trees, so we got most of the trees close to 129th Ave cleared. Because what you do is you clear the bottom portion of the tree as high up as you can get, and then the ivy up above will die off. But the trees closer to the waterline trail, we did not get up in that area. We were actually quite impressed that we got as much done, considering how thick and heavy and grown those ivy vines were. But then also there's the ground cover that would be a bigger project to tackle. Good question. Any other questions about that? I know we have Earth Day on our agenda to discuss as a recap and a debrief, so we can certainly to get more feedback there. But any questions about what I've just shared?
Well, I was just thinking it might be nice if the project isn't done, that we could schedule another work party, coordinating that with Connor and his team.
Absolutely.
It's on your to-do? Okay, good.
Oh, yes, it's on. We are very excited that we've kicked this effort off.
I would make sure to put that on my calendar this time.
Okay, next up, I would like to thank the commissioners for participating in the town hall meeting last night. That was really wonderful to see all of your faces there to support the table and getting the word out. There was a lot of enthusiasm and excitement about the upcoming summer events. So thank you for being there, and also thank you for your support at the ribbon cutting today. That was just joyous. It was a beautiful sunshine, a beautiful view. It was just wonderful. So thank you for your support. Speaking of upcoming events where you'll have a chance to tackle ivy, the next Newcastle Historic Cemetery cleanup is scheduled for Saturday, May 25th. That's Memorial Day weekend from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And a reminder, it's a drop-in event. No registration is needed. Just come on down for however long you want, and you'll be put to work. And then I'd like to highlight an upcoming event in June, early June, Tuesday, June 4th, before the City Council meeting. Mayor Clark and VFW Post 3436 of Issaquah will host a Vietnam-era Veterans Pinning Ceremony. That'll take place at City Hall at 6:30. This pinning ceremony is a recognition that is happening. It's a national commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War. Oh. Did you want to add anything? No? Okay. And so we would love to have you there, but also if you know of folks that are eligible for these pins, please, pass the word around because we would love to honor them. All right, next up, summer sponsorship program materials are live on our website with outreach to business outgoing, thanks to Chair Sticks and Vice Chair Flash. Just so that you're aware, the deadline is May 24th if businesses would like to get their logos on the Coal Creek Parkway banner. So that is a very firm deadline. And certainly if you know of any businesses or have any questions, we do have the information up on our website, but you're welcome to reach out to any of the three of us, and we are happy to point you in the right direction.
Quick
All right.
question on that, Amy. Do we have a goal for like the number of companies that we need on the banner, or we'd hope to have? Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, that is later on our agenda, but good question. So hold that thought. And then summer events planning is well underway. Our big vendors have all been booked. So our fireworks, our inflatables, our bands are all booked. And there was a flyer last night. If you'd like to see that, I can, after our meeting, I can bring in copies from City Hall or the offices. So well underway. Our Newcastle Days Planning Committee is meeting on Monday to just kind of touch base and see how it's going. Programming reminders, Skyhawk Sports Programming is obviously, I've mentioned it several times, it's returned to Lake Bourne Park. But I'd just like to mention that summer camps registration are now open, and we have summer camps, all sorts of different things planned. Tennis is very popular here, but we have beach volleyball, flag football, soccer, basketball. So lots of opportunities. And then I'd like to mention the second issue of the volunteer newsletter went out on April 19th. Thank you to all of you for your support on that. At the bottom of each newsletter, I've been trying to engage with the readership by asking them a question where they have to respond. And in this month's question was, what would you like to learn more about, regionally? And folks want to learn about opportunities involving volunteer with animals and wildlife and mentoring and tutoring. So if you have any organizations that you're aware of, certainly pass them my way. But I'll also be looking to find those groups to promote in our volunteer newsletter. And then
So I have one right for animals and wildlife. There's the Sammamish Animal Sanctuary. My wife is a volunteer there and absolutely loves it. And they're always looking for volunteers.
Outstanding.
Yeah. And it's so close.
And they are so close.
Amy, are you getting the feedback you would have expected?
From the volunteer newsletter?
Yeah,
In what sense?
just people responding, clicks, are you tracking clicks?
I am tracking clicks. We have a heat map, so we're able to track clicks and how many and where they're going. I don't think I had too many, to be honest, I don't think I had too many expectations going in because this was a new initiative. So I'm pleased with the amount, but I don't know that I can quite answer that.
Got it.
Yeah.
And any new names to add to lists and such?
New names for new
For volunteers?
subscribers?
Yeah.
Yes, so people have been adding to that. We had a couple of folks sign up last night that we can add to it, but I haven't really done a whole lot of promotion that this newsletter is out there. I wanted to get a couple under my belt so that we had some content that people could go back and look at. But I'm hopeful because we have over 100 names already on that list.
Cool.
So I have just a quick thought. Christian came up to me last night at the town hall and said, wouldn't it be great if we had somebody going around during the, I don't know what you call it, the refreshment half hour?
Mm-hmm.
But I was also thinking we should talk with Rob next town hall and make it, hopefully in an announcement, if there's anybody that would be interested in volunteering, go see the, CSE table after the meeting.
Yeah.
Would be a great push.
I'm happy to support that. Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finally, the news many of you have been waiting for, and then the news you've all been waiting for. So the news many of you have been waiting for is about our Parks and Trails Planner. Interviews happened yesterday and today. Staff are very pleased with the candidates and the interviews. We will hear more about next steps and what the process will be next week. So the news you all have been waiting for. Devi had his baby last week on Thursday, a little girl. Well, we knew it was a little girl, but a little girl, and mom, dad, big sis, baby, you're all doing really well. Yeah. Any other questions about what I've shared with you today?
I just had a quick one on the Skyhawks. Is that for kids or all ages or what's the?
It is for kids. There is programming as young as 4, and it goes up till 12.
Okay.
And they are grouped by age.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And living right across from the park, it is a very popular program.
Nice.
Yeah. So your group might like that. Okay, thanks, Amy. Ed, you want to do the Arts Council, please?
Yeah, of course. So as usual, we have a very packed calendar. So I'm going to highlight just a handful of stuff. We had a wonderful Music of North India concert at the library. There were approximately 125 people that showed up. So that was wonderful to experience and a great thing for our community, knowing the demographics of our community. We also kicked off our film series. We had a film series going pre-pandemic, and of course during the pandemic we had to close that down. Finally recently got okay from Aegis Gardens to reinstall that. So we're doing it in partnership with them, and we had our first film on May 4th. We have one in June and one in July, and the topic this time is female artists. So we're going to highlight various artists during that film series. It's going to go for quite a few months, and then we may actually take a break and do some election stuff right around election time from that topic. We did participate in the town hall last night. We had a art project going for kids, which was well received, and it was a nice little added opportunity for people to come to the town hall and drop their kids and feel like they could not have to worry about them. So we built a sculpture made of cardboard, decorated cardboard, and we will post pictures of that on the Facebook page for the Newcastle Arts Council. We kicked off our culinary tour of Newcastle. So we've partnered with 4 food establishments right now. We're adding, hopefully going to add to that list. So we started with Tapatio in May, and then we're going to have, in April, we're going to have Mod Pizza in May, Jersey Mike's in June, and Frosty Barrel in July. And then hopefully we'll add to that. On May 19th, we're doing a pop-up art event here at City Hall, so that's going to be in the parking lot. That's a Sunday. We're going to have tents and just art projects for people to do, with the hopes that we will create some art for our little art gallery that's here at City Hall, and also do a refresh of our rock garden that's also at City Hall. And the next event would be on June 1st, which is actually a rock painting event at Lake Bourne Park. And the hopes there is also to get more rocks for our rock garden. In the past, that's been an event where we've had 125 to 150 people show up, so it's very well attended. So that's great from that perspective. Then we're now accepting entries for our fall art exhibition, which is going to be part of, typically it's part of the Newcastle Day celebration that week before or during the month of September, but we do an opening the week before. So this is geared toward adults, 16 and up, so please spread the word about that. We're continuing to accept recycled bottle caps for a mural at Lake Bourne Park. So we started that in April as part of Earth Day celebration, and we'll continue to do that through the month of May, and then schedule a creation of a piece of artwork during the summer months. And then just a reminder that our art fair.
And
Yes.
where can we deliver those?
To here to City Hall.
City Hall?
Yep.
Okay, and we have
Yeah.
till the end of May.
We have at least till the end of May. Yeah, for sure. It may go beyond that, but at least till the end of May. And then just a reminder, July 20th is our art fair at the Commons. So we're right now collecting applications for vendors, and that's going very well. And so we will have another wonderful art fair and another community gathering here in Newcastle. This will be the 4th year that we've done that. So that is it. Thank you for supporting the Arts Council.
Okay, thank you. Christian, any updates on Historical Society and the Chamber?
Settle in, everybody. The Historical Society has the cleanup coming up, and it's a great opportunity. I know Amy already mentioned it, but it's a great opportunity to go to the to the cemetery and learn. If you don't know much about the history, you'll get the opportunity to learn more about the history as well as helping with the cemetery cleanup, and it's really interesting. And we're really lucky to have a volunteer organization that knows this much about the history of our city and like takes such good care of our cemetery. I just want to say that. The Chamber of Commerce, I went to the luncheon, I think it was before the last meeting, which I was not at. We had a really awesome speaker at the luncheon. It was great. His name was Michael Amato. He lives in this area. He's an author, and he used to work in corporate life, and he is the author of a book called The Better Way to Win, and he just kind of talked about like how to change culture and how culture really impacts the service that you give and how that impacts in turn like how well you do as a business, and how it can apply not just obviously to private business. Interestingly, now that he's a speaker and an author, he also has gotten into the wine game, and they have a very well-ranked wine called Ambassador Wines that's not sold anywhere except B&E Meats. So it's you should check it out if you enjoy wine. And then last Thursday night were the Diamond Awards, which I saw many of you guys there at Aegis. It was a really good turnout, and it was really fun to see so many people there to support our community and the people who are always the people that show up and give back to the community. I thought that was really great. Especially congratulations to Mac Quigg and Jasleen Kindra, our youth award winners. I think it's great to see young people get involved so early. And it was wonderful. It was really great. Upcoming events for the chamber are the 5 Chamber Breakfast on June 7th in Issaquah. And that's it for me.
What's coming up June 7th? I'm sorry.
The 5 Chamber Breakfast is in Issaquah on June 7th for the chamber. For those of you who are morning people. And that's
Thank you, Christian. Allison, Newcastle Trails?
Newcastle Trails has just been looking forward to the grand opening of the Crosstown Trail Boardwalk, which of course happened today, and very nice that Mayor Clark invited them to cut the ribbon, so that was very nice. Oh, and opening the trail, and those of us that were there, I thought it was really, really a nice event.
Thank you. And we'll skip Aegis. YMCA, Shelley.
No updates from the Y right now.
And no updates, thank you. Connie, what's going on at the library and Friends of the Library?
Yeah, so there's, as always, a lot of recurring events that happen at the library on a weekly basis. So I'd encourage anyone to take a look at their website for the full list. But I'll be highlighting 3 events that are taking place this month. On Tuesday, May 14th, from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., there will be an author talk with the author Robin Oliveira. She will discuss her latest book, A Wild and Heavenly Place, which is set in 1880s Scotland, Seattle, and Newcastle. So she was aided in researching the novel by the Newcastle Historical Society. So they're sponsoring this event at the library, which will be both a discussion of the book and a book signing, which is very cool. And then Saturday, May 25th from 2 to 3 p.m., there is an event called The Art of Dipping Chocolate. So you can join chocolatier Monty Simpson for a presentation about the history of the cocoa bean, learn how to temper chocolate, and make dip centers using your choice of gummy bears, animal crackers, pretzels, or marshmallows. So it's a really fun and unique event. Everyone will get to take a box home of the goodies that they create.
Sign up early because
It will
go
fill
fast.
up, yeah. And then the last event I'll highlight is on Tuesday, May 28th from 6 to 7 p.m. It's called Nurturing a Healthy Relationship with Food and Your Child. The synopsis is that children naturally have the ability to make decisions on when and what to eat to fulfill their needs. If children lose touch with these natural physical signals, they start eating as a response to emotions, situations, or rules. So there will be a pediatric dietitian who will come to share information designed to help parents and their children develop a positive and healthy relationship with food that they can carry with them throughout their lifetime, which is very special and a one-time event. So also sign up for that one so it doesn't fill up. And yes, those are my events.
Great, thank you. Just a reminder to please email me tonight your updates so I can get them in the packet tomorrow. Thank you.
One more thing, the YMCA did have their Healthy Kids Day, and I think they had 700-800 people that showed up for that. So kudos to them.
Fabulous. Okay, that concludes our community report. So first thing under general business is a Earth Month recap. Amy.
All right. So this is the opportunity, now that we are past the event, to debrief, recap, offer feedback on what you thought went well, what you would like to see done differently, or not at all.
I thought everything that you did was amazing this month. I don't think anything really needs to be changed. I think everything went according to plan, and I thought it was really good. I don't know how much participation we got this year, but I liked all the events.
Do we know how much participation we got this year?
So the way it was set up was meant to be almost like a self-serve. People could opt in when they had the opportunity. So there were scheduled events. For example, the two volunteer events, which were the cemetery cleanup, which was very well attended, and the Weed Warriors cleanup, which was okay attended, but the staff were pleased because this is the first time we've done it, and you have to start somewhere. So we were pleased in that sense, and felt participation was good. Can it be better? Absolutely. Then there was the next layer where there were activities to engage. The Lake Bourne scavenger hunt was a really good example where our storm water management staff put together or brought out their and adapted their scavenger hunt from Newcastle Days and put that out. Did it receive great feedback on social media? Yes. Did I see people out there doing the scavenger hunt? No. So it's difficult to measure the engagement, and that's okay. They did it, and that was purposely designed so that people weren't. We didn't ask anybody to turn anything in, but it was there as an opportunity to engage. But we did have really good feedback on social media in terms of people who they liked the idea. And it's educational outreach, so it can't hurt. There was also the next layer, which was just informative posts. So, go to earthday.org, take a quiz about your plastic use. Those social media posts did not do as well. But we also people weren't expected to attend anything, so seemingly people could have engaged, but it doesn't take a lot of effort to put up a post, so I'm fine with that. We did do the certificate and offer to have people, if they wanted to say, I did this, and I put together a graphic where we could just easily put in a name. We haven't had anybody do that, but that's okay.
I just wanted to add that I liked the way the social media posts came out with the whole month and then highlighting each separate week. So I thought that was really, I thought it was at least an attractive way to present all the information.
Did anybody feel like it was too much? 'Cause I know we had a lot of grand ideas when we sat down as a subcommittee, and I found at times it was a little challenging to tell the story of Planet versus Plastic. So I throw that out. Did anybody feel it was too much?
I don't know how you could have too much to just raise people's awareness,
Okay.
you know, and help save the planet. So I think it was very well done. Good job.
Yeah, if anything, I would say it wasn't enough of like in-person events. And I know those are the hardest ones to do, right? And they probably involve the most effort. But
Yes and no. It depends on what is envisioned for the in-person events. So a lot of other cities in the region did a one-day event on the 20th or 21st where it was a sustainability fair. And that is something that Newcastle did, looking back at the records, about 2015, 2016, and it was paid for through grant funding. But it's almost like a mini Newcastle Days. So I don't know that something like that is what we're aiming for, because people aren't really taking action. And I think the feeling was we really wanted to do things that people take action and do things.
right.
So certainly planning something, instead of one Weed Warriors, maybe we plan two or something of that scale. Does not require a lot of effort and has a lot of benefit.
Do you know if the Adopt a Drain got much?
Good question. I will ask Marley and find out. And that's on. I mean, certainly we highlighted it and emphasized it during Earth Month, but that's an ongoing educational outreach that we're doing once a month. To not only promote it as a way to help clear the drains, prevent flooding, but also as a volunteer opportunity. You know, here's a way you can serve your community. So that is ongoing, but I will ask Marley what the statistics are on those.
Just for the Earth Month?
Yeah.
Like if
That's a
it got
great
an
question.
extra push, I don't know if it helped anyone go out there more.
I saw a post, I feel like just this afternoon, about one of the neighborhoods becoming a rock star neighborhood because of their adoption of drains. Just today.
Yes.
I saw the post just today.
Yes, that was on purpose. Marley Kirkham, I don't know how many of you met our surface water technician. She has conceived of that educational outreach where every other month promoting a rock star neighborhood who's adopted a lot of drains, but then the alternative month promoting a neighborhood or highlighting a neighborhood that has a lot of opportunity to adopt drains and help turn Newcastle blue. Yeah, so that's Marley.
Thank you, Amy.
Any other feedback before I? Okay.
Maybe just one quick question. So when we said that there were a lot of posts and you were asking, were there too many posts? Is it Facebook and Instagram that were doing the posting?
Yes.
And the newsletter? Those kind of three avenues?
So some in the newsletter would be something like promoting an event, promoting something like Adopt a Drain, whereas more of the educational, like, hey, take this plastics quiz, what do you know about plastics in your life? That was social media, and it's Facebook and Instagram primarily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a thought of another platform?
Well, there are a lot of platforms, but I was more just, I know we've talked a lot about getting a pulse from the community about what they want, and it does seem like, at least even from last night, environmentalism is a focus.
Mm-hmm.
Just wondering if maybe like next March we could poll the community and just say, how would you like to celebrate Earth Month? Or even like, would you be more likely to attend an in-person event? Or do you want information on how to be more earth-friendly? Kind of like getting that pulse first so we know where to focus our efforts. Do people even want an in-person event? Or, you know, I don't know if February, March maybe could be when we could pick that up as a
I'd say do it quarter 4, even
Okay.
quarter 3, quarter 4.
And I think there's a good representative here on the commission that could help to head this focus
I
group.
do know how to make a poll, yeah.
Yeah, I think something like that would not only apply to Earth or Earth Day, right? It's everything that we do, right? Do we want to do more online stuff, or do we want to make our focus on in-person stuff? So I think that's in general just a good pulse to get.
I think Connie just came up with a pretty good idea. We need to spend a little more time discussing the logistics of how do we put something like that together and the timing of when to put that together, and then how do we initiate it with the public so they know, how do we get people to come?
Yeah, so on Facebook, you can do polls. So we could do it on the Facebook page itself. I know you can't do it on Instagram, but like within the avenues that we use today, I can imagine a newsletter might be a little harder because we'd need them to contact us somehow. So maybe a Facebook poll is one idea.
So we're going to be touching the community for at least 6 times during the summer. And maybe it could be something as informal as when people come up to the booth at Newcastle Days or at one of the concerts, we just ask them, what would you like the Community Activities Commission to be doing? And we have some set questions that we can ask them or guide them toward, but that's a great opportunity to engage with the public at those events.
I know we'd thought about that for music. When we were reviewing the bands, we were like, these sound wonderful to us, but how do we know if people like these bands? So I think we talked a little bit about at the summer concert series, asking when people come up to our booth, do you know any local bands that you'd like to nominate for next year, or any, like, what's your favorite music genre? And we could have like a tally or something on a piece of paper. But yeah, to broaden that maybe is something we should think about.
So I think one thing I'd like to see us do is put together some type of a banner or something that really shouts out, we need your input. So as people are walking by, they're not looking at a little sign on a table, but something that really gets their attention as they're coming over to get food or going to a game at Newcastle Days or whatever, that there's just something that says, we need your input, we'd love your input. And that'd be a great way to,
All those people walking around with their kids or whatever. For instance, people were stopping by last year to do the penny poll. We could drag those people in to provide information about their thoughts about music, types of music, or how they want to volunteer, or the kinds of activities they're interested in. But I think that's a really good idea to engage at the concerts, because people are, I think we probably all know, there's always lots of families, including small kids, and the kids will get bored or whatever reason. The parents are walking around with the kids saying, let's go see what's going on at these tables. And I think that would be a good idea to try to corral people and get some information from them.
and then also the question of what other events would you like to see happen in Newcastle? If they may have ideas of their own that they could say, it'd be great if we did this. So I think what would be helpful is over the next couple weeks, everybody be thinking about ideas that we would want to put on a handout or whatever, so people could just put like check marks next to things, or, a place to write. But the simpler we make it, the more people will be apt to just come in and go, check, check, hand it in.
And also, having people come to our booth, I wouldn't mind going out with a clipboard, because they're all sitting in groups with their friends, and I'm sure all of us know most of the people at the concerts, like some groups of them. I wouldn't mind going out and asking, like, hey, all the questions that we have, because not a lot of people come up to our booth. So I wouldn't mind going out either with our little badge.
I would also suggest encouraging the MCs to remind the audiences that there's stuff going on at the city tables. Please stop by and offer your opinions and that kind of thing. so the people that aren't walking by and don't stop will know that we're soliciting or information is being solicited, ideas, suggestions, but to have the MC make announcements. And who knows, maybe the band too.
Rob, are you going to be doing the announcements this summer? Or are we going to divide that up amongst council folks and? Okay, just, yeah, we'll probably come up with just a quick list of a few reminders to let the crowd know. It's great.
I don't think we have discussed it yet,
No?
so yeah, no, not yet.
Yeah, another suggestion would be to somehow make it fun, right? So the penny poll was kind of a fun thing for people to participate in. It was, so whether we go out in the audience, we can maybe have different funny hats on or something or whatever, or have some sort of game or activity at the booth.
We have how many Newcastle pins still we could encourage people, fill this out, we'll give you a pin.
Ooh, what if you like drop a pin, like the vases that you fill up and you like drop, kind of like the penny pole, but you drop a pin. Anyway, okay, yeah, we can figure it out. We can brainstorm.
We do have a lot of those lapel pins. They are not date specific, which is good. But if we can come up with a creative way to utilize those pins, they are popular. Again, not as lapels, but people are putting them on lanyards and people are putting them on their hats. So I would love to see a creative use of those that promote Newcastle.
Okay, anything else on Earth Month recap? Good stuff. Okay, summer sponsorships. So Ed and I have been very busy. And to Connie's question, how many people have we reached out to? So we have identified 94 total businesses, both within Newcastle and around Newcastle, so basically in Renton and Bellevue. That doesn't mean we necessarily handed out 94 packets, but we handed out probably close to 75, I believe, maybe 80 packets, not to mention the online materials that are available. So we did email several without actually handing out a packet. So far we have 18 yeses out of the 94. And of that, we've collected, it says 26,500, but I believe if you add in a couple more where we've gotten a firm yes, we're at about $34,025. Our goal was 49,500. That's what we collected last year. So we're making good headway, and I think we'll hit that hopefully by May 24th. That's our goal. So, Ed?
With that said, though, if there's any business or organization that you can think of that we should be reaching out to, please let us know. We've hit the majority of them in Newcastle in one way or another, but if there's ones outside of Newcastle, that would be great.
It's all on our SharePoint site under sponsorships. So if you want to look at the spreadsheet, it's all right there for your viewing pleasure. But for the most part, I'd say the businesses we've been going to have all been very positive. We haven't had a lot of, sorry, but I can't. We've had actually a few surprises where folks that over the past couple of years have not gotten back to us, all of a sudden have come out of nowhere. Amy will email Ed and I and say, hey, they did the online registration and it's made life a lot simpler for a lot of businesses. So it was a great add-on this year and just say good job to Amy on that one. Any questions on the sponsorships? Okay. Christian, updates on the 30th anniversary.
Okay. I think Kim and Allison are gonna work on the idea we had talked about previously about doing a 30 miles for the 30th anniversary kind of honor system walking challenge. They can report back next meeting more on that, but we did talk about it a little bit today at the we talked about doing a scavenger hunt. And one of the things that Shirley and I have discussed is including, yes, a way to involve the trails and parks, but also seeing if there would be, and this is if you guys are still talking to businesses, if there would be businesses that would be willing to participate by letting us like leave something for people to come in and find as part of the scavenger hunt, because we would like to do 30 items around the city. So we are going to talk about that more in the next week. And I think also asking the businesses to just kind of also promote that it's our 30th anniversary. Shawley was going to make a flyer that they could post, and we were going to give maybe a list of suggestions of things they could do if they want to participate, like, 30% off happy hour on the 30th of every month, and that's just an idea. That's not what they have to do. It's an idea, but putting a list of ideas together about things they could do in celebration of the 30th anniversary that hopefully wouldn't be too burdensome for them or anyone else, but also get them involved. And for now, that's
Can't
all I
wait
have.
for the 100th anniversary when they're going to give 100% off.
Chair Sticks, I have something to add about the 30th. Two things to add. You saw the soft launch of our 30th anniversary logo. I would like to publicly thank Dana Sullivan, who designed our 25th. When I went back to ask him what would be involved in adapting it for our 30th, I had sent it at the end of my day, and then the next morning it was in my inbox, and he said, it takes nothing at all. And by the way, it's free. So we'll take it. So I was very happy with that. And I have customized it to be in green, green being the color of the 30th anniversary, I've learned. I was approached by Vicki Heck, our librarian, about whether or not we might be interested in doing a coloring page. So if you recall, the 10th anniversary of the library was in 2022. And they had a artist design a coloring page for the 10th anniversary. It was a lovely front of the library and other different elements that just celebrated the library. And then not only did they then print it, but they along with the Arts Council hosted coloring parties and promoted it through the time period of their anniversary. And I have to give a special shout out about those coloring parties because they are multi-generational, which is lovely to see. Everybody loves the color. We would pay the stipend for the artist. It is modest and it is covered by the city activities budget. If the CAC would like to move ahead with this initiative, King County Library would sponsor the printing of that. So first I'd like to get your feedback as to whether or not you think this is, well, if you have any questions about this, and then second of all, if you think this is an idea that we should pursue for our 30th anniversary.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's the hard part, commissioners. What elements would you like to see on something that celebrates our 30th? And this may be something you're not ready to answer right now, and it may be something that we decide we may want to poll some other groups. But in order to have it ready for August time period, we would have to make a decision in the next month as to what content goes on there. But I will throw this out. Do you have any initial ideas? And then do you want to pursue getting other ideas from other groups?
Did Vicki have an idea when she kind of pitched that, or was it just more about the library could be the distributor of a coloring page?
She did not have any ideas on the content
Oh,
of what would be involved. However, I'm sure she would be somebody we could poll and ask, but no, and no specific requirements that the library be in it. Yeah. But the KCOS logo would be on there with the city logo because they're paying for the printing. So that was the only, but no, the library doesn't have to be the content of the coloring.
Thank you for coming, you guys. Thank you. I'm just looking at that in front of me here, the city logo, and wondering, would people like to just draw that? I mean, color that? Or do we need more?
Well, you're saying the logo needs to be on there anyway, right? So it'll have the
Logo with the 30th anniversary city logo would be on there because we're paying the stipend for the artist. But I mean, this can be the artist is quite talented at this kind of work. So we can have buildings, we can have other sort of artifact elements on there.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, what about the like iconic Newcastle things? Like if we're talking about like a scavenger hunt, like should we like, I don't know, have pieces of those things? I don't know if there's something like Bourne Park doesn't necessarily have like a thing that you think of that you could color, but like something like that, you know?
The dock, the lake, I mean, there's certain things that would be representative of Lake Bourne. But I kind of agree, if there's other things around town that speak to Newcastle, right, or unique to Newcastle, then those would be the things I would want highlighted.
Historical Society has a lot on their, the history of Newcastle book. You know, it'd be a lot of fun coal cars and other things that kids might enjoy drawing, coloring.
Remember, we're not just talking about kids. Like this is all ages, which is a real appeal because I know we want to more equitably engage with different audiences, and this is an opportunity to engage with all generations. Yeah, so everybody loves to color.
And is it, did I understand correctly, Dana's gonna do the artwork for it?
So I'm sorry, Dana. Dana could do the artwork. Dana did our. He's a cartoonist who did our 30th anniversary logo. No, Stacy Carpine is going to do. She was the one who did the 10th anniversary for the Newcastle Library.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could be like all the iconic symbols of Newcastle in one of those, like, find a, I can't explain, like where you color it and then you find it in the whole page. Like a, yes, thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. Years of highlights reading.
Something like that, like one page.
So what's the ask?
If we do a coloring page that is iconic Newcastle, what should be on there? What is iconic Newcastle?
And how soon do you need this?
I would say in the next month, but any direction tonight is awesome.
So we have a very small agenda. We have one more thing on the agenda and then we are adjourned. So do we
Off
want
the
to?
top of my head, the brick monument sign for Newcastle and some way of incorporating Lake Bourne. If it, as the like crown jewel of our park system.
Ooh, it could be a lake with trout jumping out of it. I saw the
yeah.
Instagram of the it was trout, right?
Yeah.
I saw 2 people walking by today who had caught fish from the lake on my way to the ribbon cutting. So that's just off the top of my head, like 2 of the things I immediately think of when we're talking about iconic Newcastle things I can go to and see. Those are my top 2.
The new boardwalk could be a fun thing to, view on that.
We could possibly maybe Stacy can do, some sort of an exaggerated map view of Newcastle with the boardwalk standing out and the fish jumping out of the lake and and then the north side with the monument, something like that. Like I mean, we see maps for big cities all the time, exaggerated features,
And the golf course, yeah.
and the golf course too in the distance, high on the hill.
The 2 schools thrown there. 3 schools, right? 3 schools. Yeah, thank you.
Government buildings.
The library. Yes, I concur. That is a great idea, I think.
You could do the business community being non-discrete.
We could maybe highlight the business community without highlighting.
Yeah, highlighting
yeah.
the specific business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now all of a sudden I'm excited about coloring.
Well, and I was just thinking, we have the Sundays with the cop.
Yeah.
We could have coloring with the cop. You could, I'll bet Chief Steve would love it.
I would do wildlife, so just some representative wildlife that you find in Newcastle. Coyotes.
Apparently
cougars,
black bear.
bears.
There was
Yeah.
one on the camera of my neighbor the other morning.
All of a sudden it's a coloring book.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, no, this is extremely helpful. This will give plenty of, well, one, it gives a direction as to how you want to see this unfold, but plenty of ideas. And Stacy has lived in Newcastle like longer than I think most of us here, so she grew up here. So,
And she's 5th generation
yeah,
Newcastle, so
yeah.
Newcastle.
Yeah. So this is wonderful.
All right.
I would just add on the trails too. Make sure they're highlighted.
And a bald eagle somewhere.
But no cougars.
Cougars, yeah. Make sure that some creeks on there. So Coal Creek.
Maybe some coal.
If she wants to get creative, like a color by number, I don't know. That way you get the actual image of the city if you do it by color.
Yeah. So Stacy was the one that did the mural, well, outlined the mural on the back of the poetry wall, like Warren Park. And then we got 28 community members to actually paint the blocks, but Stacy did the design.
Oh, that was wonderful.
So if it would be helpful, I can forward to you the one that she did for the library. It's really well done. And maybe it'll inspire some additional ideas.
Okay, last under general business is Third Spaces. Vice Chair Flash.
Yeah, so a meeting ago, or maybe it was 2 meetings ago, I put a spreadsheet out on the Common Drive asking for input on spaces. And admittedly, I have not put a lot there. So I actually haven't checked it recently, so I don't know if anybody else has as well. But I thought we could just spend a few minutes, and I don't know, Amy, if you could pull it up, is that possible? Going through and just identifying what criteria we want to include on there and just kind of re-kick the juices a little bit in terms of collecting information around third spaces. Is that doable? Okay. So if it's not, and we can start to do this, but what type of information do we want to gather? And we can just kind of keep a list here while Amy's pulling that up. So again, and what I would encourage you to do is, if you haven't yet, there's a really great document out there that defines what a third space is. And I put in the spreadsheet a resource tab, and I think I put the best one up on top. Some of the other ones are studies done by various cities, things that are helpful, but there's a really great one that's 2 pages and kind of defines what a third space is. And essentially it's, again, any space that is, if you think about where people gather or occupy, right? It's work, home, and then any place else where people gather, or people congregate, or people spend time can be considered a third space. So the whole concept behind this was, well, let's gather all the third spaces that are in Newcastle and the surrounding area, because we're so small that we can kind of reach outside of our area a little bit, and determine if ultimately, once we gather all this information, if there's gaps that we have in terms of third spaces in Newcastle. So then we can take that information and say, and use it going forward as 2 purposes. One, if we're missing certain things, and we can use that as a benchmark to advocate for those within the city or within the area. And then second of all, provide a resource for people to go. And if they don't know that, there's a meeting room at like Risden, right? Risden lends out there, or you can rent out that space, right? And so these are the things that they have in that space, and the characteristics of that space. So one is to kind of fill in what we have and decide if there's any sort of gaps in that, and second of all, to provide a resource for people to have to fall back upon if they're looking for something. So I had started to kind of outline some of the parks that were on there and started to go through that process. I didn't get very far, admittedly. So, but are there other things? What information do we want to gather?
So I had actually added Risden on there,
Oh, you did? Okay.
but what I didn't know was, I think, the important parts, which was like there's not a lot of information that I could find, at least on their website or anywhere, of how do you book it, what's the capacity, how much does it cost? And I know there were columns for that, so I ended up like leaving them blank, but that was a kind of consistent thing across the board. Like I'm even the golf club, I know there's meeting spaces, and they do tell you capacity, but there's no cost information. And I can imagine that might be a hard thing for us to maintain, because especially the private businesses could change that at any time without informing us. But I do think, as somebody who could like put yourself in the shoes of someone looking for a space, if you're willing to pay, but like what do you have to do to know, like budgeting wise? I've heard anecdotally that's expensive. Risden was cheaper, but I don't know what that means.
One thought is, do we want to get super granular, or do we want to provide, I think we have to get somewhat granular, otherwise we don't know what we don't have or do have. But I also don't want to get so granular that it's going to prevent us from doing the work, right? So, because the whole idea here is to get a data dump, at least initially, and then we can kind of go back and refine it, or decide, yes, we need more information about a particular location.
Maybe like, how Yelp does like $3 signs, $1 sign, like, park maybe $0 sign, but like some like ranking. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. That would be helpful.
How would explore that a little bit? What would that look like?
Well, so actually I don't know, but if you are reserving a, what are they called at Lakeborn Park? The roofed, not a cabana.
It's a picnic area.
Picnic area?
Park shelter.
Is that free?
No.
No. Oh, okay. I thought it was. Never mind. So not $0. Okay, so even that's helpful. But yeah, so maybe like an awareness of what is just what out there is free or not. So I listed like all the parks I could think of. So of course, if you want to let's say I'm trying to have a family reunion, and I don't care about having a roof. I just want to know where there's a big park that I could tell my family to show up at. Like an indicator of some way, and then, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I feel like I do, but, and what I'm thinking is, we've got lots of different categories of places, whether they're outdoors, indoors and public, like a school building, indoors and private, like the golf club or the swim club down the hill. I would think, and I don't know if I'm right or not, but I would think that at this point, we're trying to identify places, not necessarily their cost or availability, or even particular function, although that might be a given based on the kind of property that it is. With all those other things, cost, capacity, et cetera, determined at some other point. Because we know, even with public things, whatever the cost is today, whatever the
Right.
city paid for town hall last night, that doesn't mean everybody's gonna pay that much.
Right.
There's gonna probably be differences based on the kind of organization that's using it. The golf club's gonna probably have different rates based on Wednesday night versus Saturday night. So I'm envisioning at this point, what we're looking for are possibilities of places to put on a list, and then exploring specifics later on.
So we want some details, right? So as you mentioned, indoor, outdoor, private, public, and then maybe typical use or something like that. So there's some criteria that gets us part of the way there. But then, to your point, right, we can fill in, we can go back as a second stage and say, okay, let's fill in a little bit more detail. But at least we have to get some general, or maybe we pick capacity as a range, right? 0 to whatever, 500, and then 500 to 2,000 or whatever that may be. But yeah, does that make? So with that said, I mean, what should we be thinking about in terms of categories or criteria, at least initially?
Yeah, it sounds like indoor, outdoor, public, private, and I'm assuming, I'm considering, that a school, like Risden Middle School is public, not private, versus the golf club or,
Right.
The pool. Capacity,
Just estimated capacity, so that nobody has to think they have to get the exact number and spend a bunch of time doing it. Find it if you can, estimate it if you can't find it readily, and move on, because this will give us a starting list, and that's what we're going for, right? We don't want to get bogged down.
Yeah.
Okay, then estimated capacity.
So I have the spreadsheet up. Would you like me to, I've highlighted those 3 categories you've mentioned, or columns. Would you like me to highlight the columns that are currently on the spreadsheet for you?
Can you show us?
I do not know how to do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that would be great.
So the CAC member who filled it in, name of third space, address, city, zip code, short description, usage cost, size, public, private, open or closed to public use. Okay, indoor, outdoor, intended use, estimated capacity, and then contact person, email, phone, equipment available, furnishings, ADA accessible.
We should include limitations. So is parking a problem? Is no bathrooms, or, just maybe there are certain details that somebody would be like, oh, we have to make sure we have enough parking. We heard last night that was a problem at the town hall.
Yeah.
There was 2 baseball games going on at the same time.
Yeah. Can anybody think of anything else on there?
We need to know if there's janitorial support or other types of support within the space. You know what I mean? Like garbage pickup or, I don't know.
I think that might typically fall under your limitations category and cost. And for instance, my very past experience with schools is if you're gonna do something with the school, in a school, you're gonna pay to have the janitors there to clean up. But that was a long time ago.
Correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that Risden, the only cost is the 3 janitors you're paying for, right?
So the city has an arrangement with them.
So, it also depends on the day and time of the use, so whether or not a charge happens. So at the town hall meeting, for example, it happened, on the evening of a school day. So where staff were going to be there, janitorial staff, custodial staff were gonna be there anyway, so there was no charge, whereas with Lunar New Year, it was on a weekend. So, even though there was no, fee to the city for using the facility, there was a charge for the custodial staff because they had to come in, to, support the event. So I added limitations with a note about what was described. I have highlighted the columns public, private, indoor, outdoor, and estimated capacity as the ones you wanted to focus initial efforts on. Is that correct?
Can you put name and short description on there too? That's the,
I heard short description. What did you say before short description?
the name.
Yeah. Probably address, city, and zip code too.
Although I don't want to get bogged down in the address. So
Okay, maybe not.
for a data dump, let's just get everything on the spreadsheet.
Yeah, if you Google it and it doesn't show the address, then just write where it is. Like Newcastle, Washington, not UK.
I'm just gonna ask really quickly, without getting bogged down on what other entries are there, did anybody put the firehouse? There used to be like a community meeting room in there.
Firehouse 9?
Firehouse over there.
Yeah.
Is that 9? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I do not believe it's open to the public anymore. But we should
Asked him.
examine it.
Let's.
I can summarize what is already on there if that helps get you thinking about other areas we should be looking at. Essentially, all of our parks, it looks like all of our parks have been added. Thank you. In addition, Newcastle Library, the Golf Club at Newcastle, Coal Creek Family YMCA, Risden Middle School. It's the only school on there. And then Cougar Mountain Regional Wildland Park. So that's the where the Lakemont culvert thing is going in. That's actually King County.
Do we want to spend a few minutes now just kind of brainstorming? Is that doable, Amy?
Sure. Yeah. You tell me. I'll type, and anything I miss will be recorded. So.
Okay.
Aegis.
Yeah, just go down the line and pop them out.
I want to ask a question. Why? Because I don't know the answer. Why aren't either of the elementary schools listed?
Because, yeah, exactly.
Ooh, snap. And my point being, are they no longer available for community use?
They are.
They are.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll go add them later. I haven't added anything.
No,
yet.
Amy's gonna add them now.
Oh, and Amy's adding, oh, perfect.
So I'm adding their
I'll have my people
names,
do it, thank you.
but it will be on commissioners to maybe find out some of that information. Just a hint is that a lot of public school districts have what's called a facilities, and so you can find a lot of information about district-wide rentals at their facilities at the district level.
I'll look those two locations up and add, because I haven't added anything at all yet.
Anybody else?
City Hall?
Good call.
Regency has
Yes.
a small room that they will loan out. Add them on, but I don't, the two religious institutions in Newcastle.
Yes, they are on there.
Okay.
Newport Hills Swim and Tennis Club.
Coventry Church on Newport Way and Colquitt Parkway.
Newport Hills Community Church also, is that one on there already? Because
No,
Trails
yeah,
had their meeting there.
Yeah, Trails has it, yeah.
Do you mind if I put Station 9 on there and we find out?
Absolutely, yeah. You may, yep.
Maybe
Put
it's
it-
not
put-
I'm
open
happy to
now?
call, I'm happy to find out from Bellevue about that too.
There's it's the South Bellevue Community Center
And the library, just
and the
up
library
street.
and the Newport Way Library. Do we want to add in various businesses on there?
Yeah, I mean, Tapatio has that meeting room, so that should go on there at the back.
Right. Starbucks, the Coleman. These are gathering places. You
With
know,
a lot of limitations.
Right, I mean, no, yeah, for sure.
That place where we had the volunteer recognition event, what's that called?
Resonate.
That's it.
Trivia question.
Terry's Kitchen has the billiards room.
Is there anything that anybody can think of south of Newcastle that's, I mean, you could certainly add Hazen High School on there. There's a few other schools around the area.
I went to a place recently, I don't know if it's Dinos or Dinos. It's like at the bottom of the hill. They had pool tables too. I don't know. Dinos? Okay.
I laugh because it's where we used to have our PTA meetings. Yeah.
That tradition's been brought back.
PTA board meetings, let me clarify, the regular meetings were held at the school.
I mean, we could go and look at all the kind of elementary schools within and middle schools within a radius of Newcastle. So on the north side, you have Newport and Tyee and
We've got Sierra Heights South, just
Sierra,
barely
yeah.
south.
with the new one on Duval.
Oh, on Duval. Oh, yeah. Oh, Honey, it used to be Honeydew.
Highlands Elementary is the
Helen
new
Elsel
one.
Elementary, yeah.
And Honeydew Elementary is also close
Yeah.
by, if we're talking radius.
Oh, the new one.
The new one is Highlands.
Hilltop.
Hilltop
Hilltop
Heritage,
Heritage, that's what I
that's
was
right,
thinking of.
it's in the Highlands.
Are there other like
Oh, Kennydale.
condominium community centers or.
Well, that's what I was wondering about too, about the Commons. Does the Commons not have a, Avalon, whatever that's called, not have a community
They
space?
do,
Indoor, like an
yeah,
indoor one?
they do. I don't know how accessible that is, but they do, yeah.
Well, maybe we could add
Well, we
that to
should
the list and
include it, yeah.
research it, yeah.
And then Newport Heights Elementary, and then Christian said Kennydale.
Newport Heights Elementary and the school right on the pipeline, which I can't remember the name, that house,
There's an Asian school.
yeah, that housed Newport Heights while the Y was over there. I can't remember the name. Say it again? Yep, I think so.
Do they, can you get space at Ringdahl?
Oh, that's
The old Ringdahl?
Yeah, that might depend
It
on,
changes.
that might depend on who's occupying it at the
Yeah.
time.
Exactly, it's their,
Cause it's either been,
temporary school.
yeah, it's either been school districts or it's been private schools.
Noted as the Bellevue School District Temporary School. And hopefully folks know what I'm talking about, near the dog park.
Yeah, I've been so
That's old Ringdahl.
curious about that place.
And then the field across the street is the Newport Hills Park.
Soccer fields.
Yeah. Just kind of going around.
Did you add Newport High School?
Ultimately, what is our goal with all this data we're putting together? Is it to share with the community? Is it for us? Is it to, what's our goal?
It's both. So it's to have a resource that people can say, oh, if somebody comes to us or comes to the city or anyone and say, I'd like to find space for X, Y, and Z in Newcastle or the surrounding area, we have a resource that we can provide to them. But then as the Community Activities Commission, right, part of our job is to make sure that we are thinking about what are the needs of the community from a community perspective, right? And so if there's something that is missing in our community from a space consideration, then that's something that we can make recommendations for or advocate for or think about as we're planning future events, that here's what is either we have available to us or what is missing from the inventory that we have within our surrounding area. And I wouldn't go too far outside of Newcastle in looking at this because I don't think people are going to want to travel too far, right? Because then it becomes removed from our community. But I think the surrounding, close proximity to Newcastle are things that maybe people would want to know about or have available to us. But again, ultimately, it's kind of, are we missing something? Or maybe we have everything, but people don't know that it's available. Like, I'm not sure that everybody knows that you can maybe go to the schools and say, I'd like to use that space.
I would love to challenge all of us to really make sure that we identify all the possibilities, no matter how small or large, in Newcastle core, so that we can identify first the opportunities that exist and the information is out there, but also the gaps that exist. And I do think it is important to expand the radius to see what is out there. But when it comes to planning, say, the volunteer recognition event, there is a strong advocacy that we should be here in Newcastle. And it's comforting to know that Resonate is owned by Newcastle residents. But boy, if it had a Newcastle address, that would be fantastic. So I urge you to really, what is it that we have here that we're not using and communicating as an opportunity so that we can see whether there are gaps?
Yeah. And it may ultimately be that there's space, but there's not the right space.
Yep.
Right? So if we think about, do we have a place that can accommodate 1,000 people or for a concert that's not outdoors? You know, we probably don't have that, but is that something we want, or is that something we need or want to advocate for? That would be something else too to consider. So if there's things that are, you know, missing from what we have available to us.
Not to change the subject on this, but the volunteer recognition event, what's our budget for that? Do you know off the top of your head?
Don't. Last year was about $3,000. This year, the good news is that it's not going to be a budget issue. It's going to be a space issue because we do have so many actively engaged volunteers. And so we are going to be challenged to look at a different space for our volunteer recognition. And
I have an idea. I'm not ready to talk about it yet because I just need to, but I need a number to be able to go to this resource.
I can get you an exact number.
Okay. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. So the golf club at Newcastle could provide us with a space completely adequate if they can come up with a dinner, some type of dinner and drinks that we can afford. And because they're such a great sponsor of our events, they might be able to help us out there. And it's in a more of a downtime. November, December is a real more downtime at the golf club. So they would be more inviting to have a business come in or an event to come in. When we're at Resonate, we're buying alcohol, correct? We don't supply the alcohol. I mean, people buy it on their own.
Yes, it's a cash for, it contributes to the overall minimum that you must spend. But to be honest with you, there aren't a lot of people drinking. So I wouldn't set the expectation that they're going to make money off of selling.
Yeah, I saw a lot of
Okay.
people.
But in terms of the overall actual
Yeah.
amount that contributed to the overall cost, it's fairly minimal.
Let's you and I take this offline and
Yeah.
we'll discuss it in a little more
Sure.
detail. I've just got some thoughts and meeting with Raleigh, and it's such a great space and people love going up there.
I would suggest that we consider not too late in November at all, so as not to get in the way of any holiday partying plans that happen up there, because I know a lot of businesses do holiday parties. You probably know that. And I know I've been to a couple, but that will become a venue for holiday parties later.
Any other, I mean, we could list every single eating establishment in Newcastle.
I'm not sure I would include some
Yeah,
that
maybe not.
don't really have, that are more limited in space, like
Yeah.
Jersey Mike's is very small, and Pizza Jet City doesn't have
Right,
much
Jet
of
But
a.
any place that has sit down,
Hmm?
any place that has sit down dining.
Yeah.
Well, Jersey Mike's has sit-down dining, but it's still really
Okay,
such a teeny space.
take off that suggestion then.
But keep in mind that this is intended not only for formal gatherings or meetings,
That's
but
true.
also for informal. Say you want to get 4 people together,
That's true.
you know, that may
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
appropriate.
Good point, good point.
Do we have a barn in Newcastle? Like, you know, Pickering Barn in Issaquah? I've been to a wedding at a barn, so I didn't.
Yeah, we have that there.
There is on, I don't know what the name of the road, May Creek Road, over heading towards the 900 to Jay Berry's. There's a barn there. It's not Newcastle. It's either Renton or unincorporated, but it might be worth folks checking out. I think it's called the Red Barn.
Oh,
Yeah.
by Apollo.
Not that far.
No.
It's on May Valley Road, or. There's also there's like a, I don't know if it's a VFW hall, there's some hall in Renton,
Oh, there is. There's an Eagles Hall up above Sunset.
maybe that's it.
I think it's Eagles.
Well-
Oh, but you know what? They might have closed. The one I'm thinking of, kind of near the street that comes up from, never mind. Sorry, McKnight, up over towards Union. There was a VFW or Eagles or something, but I think they might have. For some reason, I'm thinking they may have closed. Whatever it was.
Anything else you guys can think of? And this is a dynamic list, so if you think of anything else, please add it. And then, we'll continue to keep it on the agenda, and maybe we can divvy some up to come up with some other data points.
Sammamish Animal Sanctuary.
That's true. So just
They
so
have a
you
barn.
know, the list has now nearly doubled in size, so maybe this is a good stopping point. So that folks aren't overwhelmed.
Anything else? Anything else? Nope. Okay, cool. Thank you, Nick.
Okay, good job. Amy, do we have any additional public comment? So on our planning calendar, our next CAC meeting is June the 12th. Mark your calendars. And if there's nothing further, the time is 7:32, and we will call this meeting adjourned.